What is attachment? And why is it important that we know about our attachment style? Well, if you are on a self-discovery journey, you can use this information to become a more secure and trusting person. And I'm going to show you how in this video when we talk about the 4 different attachment styles. Hello my beautiful friends, my name is Carrie Cox and welcome to my channel where we learn how to use our personal power to build a connection between our mind, body, and spirit. When we are born, we build a connection to the caregivers that we have in our life. The most important connection in that is that connection with the mother. This is what makes us feel safe. This is what brings us a sense of safety and security in the world. Safety and security, it is a survival need. It's part of our root chakra, and it develops between birth and 7 years old. So this attachment that we have to our mom when we are born plays an important part in how fearful we will be in the world when we are adults. If we had a caregiver who showed us love and attention the way we needed them to, and they allowed us to explore when we were toddlers, then we may fall into that 60% category of being a secure attachment style. But if you fall into the other 40%, then watch the rest of this video so that we can learn and identify with some of these traits so that we can learn to build a relationship within ourselves, to learn how to self-soothe ourselves, and learn how to trust ourselves so that we can be a more secure person and be in a more secure relationship. Important that you don't identify with a label and get really caught up and hung up on that label. Labels are not good to attach to. We don't want to make it part of our identity that we are one of these attachment styles. We want to use the information to help us on our own journey into being a more confident and secure person. Also, we may be able to identify with a couple of the categories. We may not always fall into just one category. You may have spent some of your life in one category and then flip to another category. I personally was once an anxious attachment style, and now I know through my own work and my own journey that I have become a more secure attachment style, and I have a more secure relationship right now. So I know that through the inner work, you can move categories and work towards the goal of being in a more secure place. So the key to this video will be using the information to gain more confidence and try to move into that secure attachment style, which is the healthy attachment style. Learn how to be more comfortable with your emotions and your feelings, and learning how to develop intimacy with others. This takes courage and vulnerability. In this video, we are tackling the 4 different attachment styles that were developed by a psychologist named John Bowlby. And he started studying the different emotions of babies and how they would react when they were separated from their caregiver. He realized that when babies were separated from their caregiver, they started to display a lot of anxious energy and they became highly distressed. And he realized that it wasn't food that they were seeking, but the connection to their caregiver. And he realized that as babies, we form attachments to our caregiver, and that our caregiver plays a part in how we form these connections. So in this video, we are going to tackle those 4 different attachment styles. So the first attachment style is the secure attachment style, and it's about 60% of the population. This is the category that we want to strive for. This is a healthy attachment style. This is really our goal that we want to work towards, because when we have a secure attachment style, we are someone who's very comfortable in a relationship and we don't have a problem with emotional intimacy. We are able to share with our partner things like our wants, our desires, our needs, how we're feeling, and we're not worried about how the other person's going to react, or if they're going to leave us because of it, or if we're going to scare them. We're not worried if the other person's going to cheat on us. We believe that our partner loves us, and we really don't question that. We believe it. We know it. We are able to receive love, and we have a positive view on ourselves and we have a positive view on other people. So we trust ourselves, we trust other people. We don't have a lot of negative self-talk about us or the relationship or who we are. We're pretty confident in ourselves and in other people. When you have a secure attachment style, you know what you want and you're not afraid to go after that, and you're not afraid to express that to other people. If you were asked to describe your relationship, it would probably sound like he completes me, or she's always there for me, he's my best friend, he calms me, he feels like home. These are some things that people in a secure attachment style would use to describe their partner. And basically what this attachment style is saying is that you're a happy and confident person in the world, and you can be happy alone or you can be happy in a relationship, that you don't need the validation of the relationship. The relationship is a bonus for you. It makes life better to have a partner, and you view each other as partners, as equals. One of them isn't trying to gain power or control over the other. If you've always been this way and have always had a secure attachment style, then you probably grew up feeling very positive about yourself and feeling very positive about others. I know that you can work towards being a secure person and in a secure attachment relationship because I have worked towards that. So I know that even if you didn't grow up that way, you can work towards being secure. So even if you weren't taught to have positive feelings and around emotions, you can still learn to do that. If you were taught at a young age, you were probably taught how to regulate your own emotions, how to self-soothe. Again, that's something you can learn now. You can learn how to self-soothe yourself and how to regulate your emotions when you start to feel your emotions. People who are secure have longer and more stable relationships. So again, this is what we all want to work towards in our own personal journeys. Okay, so let's get into the other 3 attachment styles and see if you fall into one of these other 3 categories. The next attachment style is the anxious attachment style. If you have an anxious attachment style, at the root of it, you have a deep fear of abandonment. With the anxious attachment style, your relationships will seem to be filled with super high moments and super low moments. There's a lot of conflict and drama associated to this because it seems like the moods of the relationship can switch from very high to very low. So you can be completely and totally in love and then feeling completely and totally in fear of the person leaving you or cheating on you. There's this deep fear of abandonment that's associated with your feelings about the relationship. If you have an anxious attachment style, you're never single for very long. You hate to be alone, and this is about 20% of the population. And part of the reason why it seems that you're never alone and you're always in a relationship with someone is because you need outside validation. You need somebody to reassure you and give you a sense of worth. So there is an inability there to make yourself happy. So you're always seeking that outside validation from someone else and from the relationship itself. There seems to be an underlying lack of a sense of security there with the relationship. So an anxious attachment style person will have a hard time believing that the other person loves them and wants to be with them. They're just in constant fear that the person is going to leave them. So with this attachment style, they have a very negative view on themselves and a positive view of other people. So they trust other people and have a hard time trusting themselves, which makes them really okay with emotions with showing emotions and with receiving emotions, but they have high anxiety about the attachment itself. That anxiety comes from that fear of abandonment. So it comes from the fear of that other person leaving them. This creates a lot of conflicts in the relationship. So it creates a lot of intense mood swings, communication issues, low self-esteem, and then the person comes off appearing to be very clingy, very needy to the other partner. If you have an anxious attachment style, you are probably looked at as the fixer, always trying to fix other people or help other people. And a lot of that is because it's easier to help other people than go inside and look at your own stuff, especially when you have more of a trust in other people and less of trust within yourself. So these people will look like fixers. Sometimes they may not be the fixer. They may be the wounded person looking for a fixer. You will probably find more women in this category than men, but men do fall in this category. I happen to know a man who, closest to me in my life, who falls in this category. So men do fall here. You're just gonna find more women in this category, and typically more men in the avoidant category. So some of the attitude you will find behind this attachment style could be sentences like, he is gonna leave me, or she is cheating on me, I don't think he loves me anymore. Okay, so if you could identify with some of these statements, then you may be an anxious attachment style. Remember, this is just so that you can be informed about the information and start working towards making changes to become more secure as a person in your own self-development. Don't identify too hardly with this. Just look at those statements and say, okay, if I am an anxious attachment style, then it's that I lack trust for myself and I'm more trusting of others. So how can I start to build more trust for me? And how can I start to rely more on myself and learn to self-soothe myself? And then while also still trusting other people. We don't want to flip the entire thing on us, because if we go to the other extreme, then we're going into the avoidant attachment style. So we don't want to lose that trust in others, but we want to gain a trust for ourselves. So we want to become more reliant on ourselves than how we had been in the past. We want to find ways to make ourselves happy and how to validate ourselves instead of looking to other people to validate us. And I used to be an anxious attachment style, and I have made enough changes within myself that I'm pretty confident that I probably fall more into that secure place right now. I am more confident in that I don't need external validation to make me feel better, to make me happy. I am now learning how to make myself happy and learn to trust myself, really working on my intuition. And so since I can trust my intuition, I do trust my intuition now more than I trust anything else externally around me. So that has really helped me to become a secure person, which will lead to more secure relationships. You know, when I think about my first marriage, I did have a lot of lack of trust of him leaving or that he would cheat on me, but I don't have those feelings with my current husband. And I believe it's because of all of the inner work I have done, and the trust that I have built up within myself has now spilt into having this secure relationship. The next attachment style is the avoidant attachment style. If you have an avoidant attachment style, then you have a deep fear of intimacy. This is a person who in the very beginning of a relationship with someone else is super into it. They're super charming and they know what they want. They go after it. They have a lot of confidence and they end up looking very desirable to other people. So in the beginning, they don't hold back. They're all in. But then they slowly start to lose interest. And they could be described by other people as very distant, or maybe they have a wall up, or it's really hard to get close to them. They don't like to talk about emotions, and they don't really show their emotional side all that often. And when they are questioned, or when they do need to talk about those things, they start to use sarcasm and jokes as a way to deflect from talking about their emotions. If you have an avoidant attachment style, you are probably pretty independent, very self-reliant. You have a very positive view or outlook on yourself, but it's very hard for you to trust other people. And because of this lack of trust for others, there was probably some sort of trauma experienced in early childhood. And it doesn't even have to be early childhood, because I know somebody in my life who has an avoidant attachment style, and he had his heart broken in high school by his high school sweetheart. That trauma has carried with him, and he very clearly has an avoidant attachment style, and I believe it comes from that trauma of getting his heart broken in high school. About 20% of the population have an avoidant attachment style, and the attitude behind somebody who has an avoidant attachment style is, I don't need anyone, I'm fine without you, you're lucky to have me. These types of statements are more of what the attitude with somebody who has this attachment style. They come across as very independent. If you tell them how you feel and you start trying to express your emotions, they will blame you for having those emotions, and they will tell you it's your fault that you feel that way. This person may be the life of the party because they don't like to look at their feelings and get emotional. They don't like that vulnerability. So somebody with an avoidant attachment style will have a lot of acquaintances because they are the life of the party, because they use sarcasm and jokes to deflect from their emotions. But it's very hard for them to have a true meaning in a relationship. So they tend to be more of like the life of the party, but you'd have a hard time having very deep conversations with them, very surface level with them, because they have that lack of trust in other people and in connections with other people. They try to maintain some sort of distance from others. It's very hard for them to allow other people to get close to them. I remember when I used to be with the person that in my life that was this attachment style, I remember his excuse about talking about anything emotional was always that was a sign of weakness. Being vulnerable was weak. And what I have learned through my journey is that actually that's not true. Being vulnerable and opening up and expressing your emotions is actually the most courageous thing one can do, because it is very hard to open up and share how you're feeling, and it's actually a sign of strength. I personally think it's a turn on when a man can become vulnerable and show that side of him, but somebody with an avoidant attachment style would have a very difficult time doing that. They're trying to avoid their feelings because of that deep fear of intimacy. The next attachment style is fearful. And fearful is a combination of both the anxious attachment style and the avoidant attachment style. This person may have developed trauma early in their childhood, and so they have become fearful of themselves and of other people. With the fearful attachment style, they are living in a paradox, because that paradox is, I can't trust myself, but I can't trust other people either. So they have a lack of trust in everyone. And the problem here with the fearful attachment style is that we are meant to be in tribes. We are meant to be in communities of people. We are meant to have human connectedness, but they are afraid of that connection because somebody taught them early on that they should fear other people and also fear themselves. This is about 5% of the population, so they're going to carry with them that deep fear of intimacy and then also a fear of abandonment, because they're a blend of both the anxious and the avoidant attachment styles. They have a very negative look on themselves, so they have a very negative self-talk that goes on inside of them. Like, they may call themselves stupid or say that they are broken. They're desperately craving attention, but yet they avoid it at all costs. So they crave it, but they fear it as well. They have a hard time leaving relationships once they are in a relationship, and when they do leave a relationship, they usually end up going back to that person. This attachment style, my recommendation if you fall in this fearful attachment style, would be to seek some sort of professional help, because not only do you need to build up a sense of self, but then you also have to learn how to trust other people as well. So you're working on both sides of the spectrum here. And so that is something that I would recommend tackling with a therapist, somebody who can help you gain some self-esteem and some confidence in yourself, and then also confidence in other people. Now with these attachment styles, we're going over this so that you can learn how to create a sense of self in your own self-discovery journey. But if you are looking for a relationship, it's important to work on yourself and work on your own, building your own trust and your own self-worth, so that when you do manifest a relationship, you're going to manifest the right one. When you become secure as a person within yourself, you will attract secure relationships as well, because like energy attracts like energy. We are on a self-discovery journey to learn more about ourselves, so take this information with that mindset that you're going to use this to help build a better self within you, so that you can become your best version, so that you can become your true authentic self. The only way we're going to find out who we truly are is to go deep within ourselves, observe who we are, and allow that light to shine through. Thank you, my beautiful friends. Have a blessed and beautiful day, and namaste.